Okay, so let's get started and get into Stake Super. Let's get the formalities out of the way first of all. So the information contained in the presentation today should be considered general in nature, and it's not personal financial advice or should be taken as an inducement to set up a self-managed super fund. So having a look at our agenda, we'll start with a little bit of an introduction on myself and Stake Super. We'll talk a little bit more deeply on the product and get into what we offer and our service. Then we'll take a look at the detailed transfer process, so how that would all operate if anyone decided to join Stake Super and bring their admin across. And my favorite part of the session is the question and answers at the end. So if you have any questions, please pop them in the message or the chat box there, and there'll be lots of time at the end to go through those questions, and hopefully I can answer them all for you today. Okay, so my name is Ciara Conway, and I'm an SMSF Product Specialist here at Stake. So I've been working in the SMSF industry since 2013, so a long time now. And I've worked across many different aspects of SMSF. So I started as an SMSF accountant, so I've been involved in the administration. I worked a little bit in SMSF audits, and I've been on the client service side as well, and managed teams along that time. So yeah, really enjoyed my time in SMSF. And I joined Stake in February of last year. I was lucky enough to get an opportunity to come across. So yeah, and it's been really exciting, and we're seeing great growth since. My background, I studied accountancy and finance in the UK in Edinburgh before migrating to Australia. So that's sort of why I've gotten into the industry in the first place. You might be surprised by my Irish accent why I'm in SMSF in the first place. And I'm really passionate about providing high quality accounts and a reliable SMSF experience for our Stake Super customers. Okay, so let's take a look at Stake Super. Some of you on this call may already be familiar with our offering, have had a look at our service on our website, but I'll talk a little bit more in detail. So in the past, SMSFs have often been considered expensive and complex, and Stake Super was really created to take the hassle out of self-managed super funds and allow our customers to focus on investing and less so on the paperwork side of an SMSF. So our mission is to deliver Australia's most hassle-free SMSF. And we do this by being your one-stop SMSF shop that offers a full service administration combined with a really great investment platform that you hopefully are already really familiar with. Stake Super in a nutshell. So as I mentioned, we are a full service SMSF administration. And I'll go into a little bit more detail about it, what it actually involves, but we all know that there are some compliance obligations with running an SMSF. Financials need to be prepared every year, a tax return lodged. So that's really where we come in. We keep up to date with the regulations each year. We're 100% committed to SMSFs. And so we've got an in-house dedicated team that will look after that aspect. We're also fully integrated with the Stake investing platform, which has really got many advantages. We also know at the end of the tax year, we often have to provide different documents from brokers to accountants. And being integrated with the Stake investment platform has got some really great benefits that we've already got access to that information, giving a really seamless experience at tax time. Our offering is 100% digital as well, including the transfer process itself. So that's been really advantageous for us as administrators, as it speeds the process along, making sure that we have ample time to lodge tax returns in time. But it's also really easy for you. Back in the day, often you would have to set an appointment with your financial advisor and accountant and go into the office each year to sign documents, or even multiple times a year. Whereas our offering is 100% digital, so you can sign your documents from the comfort of your own home and also access your portfolio at any time on your phone or computer. So as mentioned, we've got an in-house team. So we're backed by a really great team of experienced SMSF accountants, specialists, and dedicated customer support. So although we're new in the SMSF space, yeah, we've brought on a team with years and years of experience and really great technical knowledge to take the hassle out of SMSFs. Okay, so leading on from that, obviously, as I mentioned, we are integrated with the investment platform. So you really deal with one partner. So in regards to the investing and the tax, we facilitate that. Again, we also deal with the auditors. So if there's any queries, it all comes through us. So that really simplifies the process for our customers. So they know exactly who they go to when it's the one team all the time. We provide that seamless access to the market. So we've got access to over 8,000 ASX and US equities on the Stake platform. But with Stake Super Plus offering, which I'll also speak to in a bit more detail, you have the ability to invest your super in your SMSF outside of the Stake platform, whether that be unlisted assets or properties, for example. We look after the full service admin. So we look after the SMSF setups, including the registration of the corporate trustee, and all of the ongoing compliance obligations. So the annual accounting, auditing, and taxation, for one low and really transparent fee. And security and expertise. So as I mentioned, you deal with one team of SMSF experts, and you can invest with confidence with CHESS-sponsored ASX trades and SIPC insured US holdings. We offer a wide range of investments. We all know that SMSFs, there's many advantages to investing in assets which you may not be able to do in other types of super funds, but you can in SMSFs. So as I mentioned, US stocks and ASX stocks are available on the Stake platform directly, and also over-the-counter stocks. But with Stake Super Plus, you can invest your super in the likes of residential and commercial property, managed funds, precious metals, which we see more and more funds looking at that. So that would be gold and silver bullion, for example. So business ventures, if you have the opportunity to invest in unlisted assets or startup businesses, and derivatives, for example, option trading. So as long as it's within regulation, we can look after the administration. So our motto here at Stake Super is you invest, we handle the rest. By combining sophisticated tech and deep industry expertise, we're able to handle the ongoing paperwork on your behalf far more effectively than traditional administrators. Now, our annual fee includes the preparation of self-managed super fund end of financial statements, the preparation and lodgement of your SMSF annual return. So we actually act as the tax agent for the fund. So there's no need to perhaps employ or pay another tax agent to lodge that for you. It's all done in-house. Our fee also includes the compulsory independent annual audit. So we facilitate that audit on our customers' behalf. And then we'll only reach out to the customers if it's an issue we can't resolve or if we need extra supporting documents from the customer. Now, some of our competitors do tend to charge that in addition to their administration and accounting fee, where it's actually bundled within our product. So it's not an additional or hidden cost. We also prepare and provide the annual member statements. So you may already be familiar with the member statements that provide a breakdown of the activity with your super that year and the split between each member. Or if you're in pension phase, each will provide how much pension drawdown you have and the pension amount, the minimum pension required for the next financial year, along with detailed on how much the contributions you've made, etc., in relation to the cap. We prepare and provide the annual investment performance report, so an investment summary, investment income and comparison reports, and we can also provide the realised and unrealised capital gains reports. We look after lodgement of activity statements, so BAS and PAYG, if that's applicable to your fund. And I'll also add, we actually arrange the payments as well for our customers. So we'll let you know how much is owed, if that's owed to the tax office. And we arrange the payment directly from your Stake Super wallet, as long as there's sufficient funds to cover that amount directly from your Stake Super account. And for funds that have a corporate trustee, we also act as the asset agent for the fund at no extra cost. So we'll arrange that payment of the annual asset review fee, and we'll prepare the annual trustee resolutions and minutes for the directors of the trustee to sign as well. So our product is a really cost-effective product without compromise on quality and service. And we're really, really proud of that here at Stake Super. And our annual fee can potentially reduce the cost of running on an SMSF by thousands of dollars, depending on what you may be paying your accountant or current administrator. So we have two products. The main product is $990 flat rate a year. And obviously that includes all of the administration and audit, as I mentioned. And that's applicable when 100% of the assets on the Stake platform are invested in US and ASX equities, split in whichever way the trustees decide. But all of the assets are on the Stake platform. For SMSFs that do invest in assets outside of the platform, so in any of the examples I've mentioned, like property, for example, or startups, our ongoing price currently is $2,640. Now, I should add, we're actually reducing that on the 1st of June to $2,490. So we're reducing it ongoing by $150 when we did a lot of research and review of our pricing and structure. However, if you currently have an SMSF and wish to transfer it to Stake Super, and you perhaps might be using a different broker and you want to have some time to tidy it up, all transfers for the first year are just charged a flat rate of $990. And then after those 12 months, if you still hold the assets outside the Stake platform, we would then upgrade you to Stake Super Plus. So that's a really good incentive. And we're currently running a special and limited SMSF transfers offer for the end of financial year. So if you transfer your SMSF admin to Stake Super by 30 June this year, you will receive a discount to $495 a year for the first year, so half price, no matter what assets the SMSF holds. So regardless if you're a Stake Super Plus customer or Stake Super, the first year is $495. And after the first 12 months, you'll revert back to the standard pricing, whichever product you fall into. And that's exclusive until the 3rd of June this year. I should also add, we don't require payment upfront before we start the process. So once the administration is complete, we'll deduct the fee directly from your Stake Super wallet. Okay, so you might be wondering how the process actually works. And often when I speak to people, they're definitely hesitant to do that because it seems like a bit of a headache. And often they're surprised about how easy it is. So I do want to assure you at Stake Super, we do all of the heavy lifting, ensuring a smooth and seamless transfer process for your self-managed super fund. There is a 60-second transfer application form that needs to be completed. So a really simple form, just gathering some basic contact details so we have a starting point to begin with. As I mentioned, it's a full digital experience. So via our online application form or our document upload tool. And we have a dedicated SMSF admin and portfolio transfer team that would take you through the steps of the way. So you're guided and handheld if you've got any questions at any point in time. Okay, so looking at that process in a little bit more detail, the first step is to complete the online application form. And as I mentioned, it's a really simple, just gathering some basic details. If you've already got an account with Stake, it's even simpler because we can use a lot of that information once we've picked which client it is. Once we receive that application, the first step for us is to gather all of the SMSF records from your existing administrator or accountant. So we'll generally contact them directly, requesting a list of the documents. Now, for some customers, they've actually found it easier because they've got the documents at home on their computer. So we do provide the opportunity for you to upload the documents yourself if that's easier. But if not, we'll handle it directly with your accountant directly. Once we've got all of those documents, so the types of documents would include the initial establishment, like the signed and executed trust deed, the executed trustee declaration, and then your most recently lodged tax return, audited financials, for instance. So we're starting from the point of when your last tax return was lodged, and we're bringing all of that cost base across accurately as well. Once all of that information is collated and collected, we'll set you up in our system. Our accountants will do all of that legwork, and we'll prepare appointment letters to send to you via our signing service, which you can digitally sign. Those appointment letters will appoint us as the tax and asset agent for your fund once we receive your signatures. As I mentioned, if there's any extra documents like the cost-based history, we'll bring all the records up to date in our system. We'll also appoint an independent auditor, because that's likely to have changed from the previous auditor that was used on your fund. And then we'll facilitate the asset transfer to the stake investment platform. So that applies if you have assets perhaps with a different broker that you want to transfer across to stake. We can do that if you wish as well, and look after that for you. Once your assets and your funds are already set up, you can start investing, and we'll schedule your fund into the tax year to make sure that the financials are prepared in time and your tax return is lodged. Okay, so that's questions and answers already. That seemed to go by really quickly, so hopefully I didn't speed through it too fast. So yeah, feel free to pop in some questions in the chat box. I can already see that there's a couple come through, which is great. Keeps me busy. So I'll start going through those now. First question, I have an SMSF established through eSuperFund. I would like to bring this over to Stake as I have my share trading account with Stake and Saxo Traders. With Stake Super, is it possible for Stake Super to access my share trading data from both Stake as well as Saxo Trader automatically? It is possible. With the Saxo Trader, we would need the end of year tax statements directly from them, just to make sure that all of the income and the transactions are accurately reconciled. We don't necessarily have the authority to request those tax statements from Saxo directly, so we would need you just to provide those. Obviously, for your assets that are on the Stake platform, we would have access to all of that data. So there's nothing that you would need to provide in that case. But that sounds like a very straightforward fund to me. Another question from Peter. Can I bring across unlisted managed funds investments? Yes, absolutely. As I mentioned, that would likely come under our Stake Super Plus. So if you still have those assets after your first 12 months with Stake Super, your fee would increase, but we can definitely handle the admin for that. Now, those unlisted managed fund investments won't be integrated on the Stake platform. However, they'll still be absorbed in the admin. So when we prepare your financials and everything, they'll most definitely be included as per the regulations there and included in your audit as well. Similarly to the last case with Saxo Trader, where we'd have to request the end of year tax statements, with those managed fund investments, we'd also need to request, you're probably already familiar with this, but the holding statements at 30 June and any records of any income that those investments may have distributed to the fund as well. Another question from Andrew. Who is the admin? Is it Grow Your Own SMSF? I'm not sure exactly what the question was there. So we're actually the administrators for the fund. You would be the trustee of the fund. And we've got the SMSF accountants who would look after it. And it's all under Stake Super. Andrew, if I haven't answered your question correctly there, though, feel free to pop another one in. And you have a Macquarie CMA, can I still remain on the basic 990 plan? On that one, Andrew, I might reach out to you directly. It may be possible, but I'll have a chat to you directly after the session if you like. I'm happy to email you. Okay, next question. Can you access my existing SMSF account with ANZ Bank directly automatically? We would be able to set up a data feed with the ANZ bank account that you've got within your SMSF currently. Now, for any historical information, we would require the bank statement to support that. And again, for the first financial year, for audit purposes, we would need to request the bank statement as well, but we would have all the data to reconcile it within our accounting software for your SMSF. That wouldn't be a problem. Another question. I'm with CMC Markets. Most of my current shares are OTC Canadian mining shares. Can I transfer to Stake Super? If they're on the Stake platform, that would be no problem. We could arrange that transfer. Again, Saviero, if you want to reach out to us, you can email us directly at smsf@hellostake.com if you want to check if they're available on our platform. Otherwise, if they're not available on our platform and you decided to keep them with CMC and you wanted to hold on to that asset holding, you would fall into that Stake Super Plus category. Follow-up note from Andrew, admin, I meant Chris Kiddo's business, Grow Your Own SMSF. I see, sorry about that, Andrew. So the Grow SMSF is a completely separate business to Stake Super. The guy who ran that business did actually help in the establishment of Stake Super, but he left to focus on his own business. So there's no current connection at all with that business. So we're completely independent. Hopefully that clears everything up, Andrew. Another question, is there a third party involved in the facilitation of the SMSF at stake? If yes, who would that be? No, actually, we're completely in-house, so we don't offshore any of or use a third party to look after the admin. Everything's done here by Stake Super. We're all the team are all employees of Stake. So that does differentiate to some of our competitors out there who they'll often use a different provider and then white label under their brand, but everything's done in-house. So for instance, if you've got a complex case and you want to speak directly to the accountant, that can easily be arranged, or even if we need to speak to the tax agent, himself. We're all based here in the Sydney office, the accountants are, so definitely done in-house. Follow-up question from Saviero. If I can transfer, what would the annual fee would I be on? That was the customer that had some assets on CMC Markets. So if the asset is available on the Stake platform, the annual fee would remain at $9.90. Now, if the particular assets or shares that you're speaking of are not on the Stake platform and you kept them on CMC, your first year would be $9.90. Or if you signed up before the 30th of June, it would be $495. However, if you still hold those assets after the first 12 months, it would increase next year to $2,490 as part of Stake Super Plus. Another question from Alexander. I now have 100% of my assets other than the bank account held in Stake. I'm in the process of closing down all external accounts platforms by 30 June 2023, so I can use your basic SMSF offering. That's great to hear, Alexander. Does Stake handle the 22-23 tax year, or would it begin handling everything from 1st July 23 onwards? That's actually a really great question, and I'll make a note to cover this in future webinar sessions, but we would pick it up from the 23 financial year. So as a rule of thumb, if your accountant is if they've already started your tax return for the 23, we don't want our customers to be double charged. So we would wait for that to be completed and we would pick up the next financial year, but we don't necessarily need to be in the current year to do the tax return. So if your 22 financial year tax return has been lodged, we can pick up the 23 tax year. That would be no problem. For some customers in the rare scenario that they may be a few tax years behind, let's say we had to do the 21, 22 and 23 tax year, we can most definitely do that. And there would just be an annual fee applicable for each tax year that we would need to complete. Thanks, Alexander. Okay, another question from Scott. I've got one property in my SMSF. Can I just use Stake for my SMSF shareholdings and combine end of year statements with your own accountants? Yes, that is absolutely possible. So you can download the tax statements that are available on our stake platform and provide those to your accountant, and they would look after that reconciliation and preparation of your accounts. Either way, you can do it. Obviously, there's no annual fee if you're just using Stake to trade. Stake Super is really just the admin service that we can also offer in-house alongside that trading experience. Another question, what is the procedure to transfer existing portfolio on Saxo Trader to Stake? How long does it take and what is the cost involved? Great, another great question. Generally speaking, it can be a few days for the portfolio to get transferred. I believe that it does differ, you know, it really depends on where you're transferring your portfolio from. As I did mention as well, we have a dedicated team that will, you know, can guide you along the way. It's the one person that you would speak to if you've got any questions, if you need to follow up, and they would handle and make sure you've got the correct documents that you would need to sign, for instance, to facilitate that portfolio transfer. And there's no cost from Stake side for that portfolio process at all. If I start with Stake Super Plus and I move all my shares to the Stake platform, how does the yearly admin fee work? So if you start with Stake Super Plus and then you move it all to Stake platform, so that would mean if you transferred your SMSF, and let's say in the first year you're technically a Stake Super Plus customer because you have assets outside the platform, we will only charge you $9.90. And the purpose of that is really to allow our customers about a year to be able to bring all their shares onto the Stake platform if that's what they want. And ongoing then, once that 12 months cease, if your assets are all on the Stake platform, it'll be $9.90 on an ongoing basis. Now, if after that first 12 months, you've got some assets outside, that's when we will increase it to $2,490 because you've made the decision to hold on to those assets, let's say, or to invest in those assets outside the platform, acknowledging that you want to continue on Stake Super Plus. So flat fee, regardless of the assets, $9.90. And then you've got 12 months for the opportunity to bring your assets onto the Stake platform before your fee increases. Another question, and the discount for the first year for 50, can it apply for the 23-24 year as you've already paid for 23? So as long as you submit your application before 30 June, if you have already paid for 23, now I know that we actually do get a lot of transfers, and if the work hasn't started, generally speaking, you will be able to get a refund for that fee if you wanted to bring it over sooner and save some money. It would really depend on how soon your 23 financial year return gets lodged. And perhaps, Andrew, if you want to reach out to me directly, email us at smsf@hellostake.com. I'm more than happy to do a one-on-one call with you if you want to discuss your case. Particularly, I'm also familiar with some of the main administrators out there and how the kind of transfer process works. So that might be worth a one-on-one call if you are interested in taking us up on that offer. More than happy to speak to you directly. We can be flexible, but to avail of that discount, your application needs to be submitted by 30 June this year. Okay, question from Mark. Hi, Mark. Are your staff Australian based? I'm with Squirrel and seem to deal with overseas people a lot. Yeah, so our SMSF accountants are based here in Sydney. Now, if you're familiar with Stake, you might be aware that we have an operations team based in Brazil, but our customer service team are here in Sydney. I am aware, and I've worked with SMSF businesses in the past, and a lot of the SMSF industry I know is done offshore to bring down costs. Again, we're pretty proud that our SMSF accountants are based here in Sydney. And generally speaking, I deal a lot with clients all the time myself. So you do have the ability at any time to schedule a call back with myself if you want to speak to something directly. But yeah, for the most part, we do have that office in Brazil, but our accountants are currently based here in our Sydney office. If 23 is already in process and stake take on from 2024, will you still discount for the first year? We will definitely avail of that 990 deal. For 2023, it's unlikely your tax return would have started as we haven't reached 30 June. So again, Saviero, happy to speak to you directly. We can be a little bit flexible. You would definitely need to submit your application by 30 June and we'd need to begin the transfer process. We can give a certain amount of time, perhaps it's a month or two to wait for your 23 tax return to be lodged. But unfortunately, we wouldn't be able to wait much further than that to avail of that discount to 495 for the first year. Another question from Andrew. And you say it's not prepaid. When is it billed? Great question. I might not have been clear about that earlier during the presentation. So it is billed before we start the work on the tax return. However, when you submit the application, we don't request a payment upfront before we start the transfer process. So we actually wait for the full transfer to be completed before we bill you for that year. But generally speaking, on an ongoing basis, we deduct the annual fee and every 12 months before we start the work on your tax return. So hopefully that makes sense, Andrew, but we charge your first annual fee once we've actually got you set up and running, not before that. I would like to discuss bringing over my personal and family IT accounts plus one super fund. Please contact me after 2 p.m. tomorrow. No problem, Pran, happy to do so. So my colleague who's also on the call will make a note of that one. Look forward to speaking to you. What about fixed interest investments? Brian's asked. Great question. I'm seeing an increase in these types of questions. So currently Stake doesn't have a fixed interest investment. Now, obviously there are some fixed interest bearing investment options on the ASX that are available, on the Stake platform. However, we don't currently offer the likes of a term deposit or anything like that. Now, it has been a big topic, I'll be honest, in our office, and I keep giving that feedback, especially for our SMSF customers as they wish to diversify. So we may introduce that in the future. It's really about getting it on our roadmap, as we've got a lot on our roadmap for the coming year and forward, but we're definitely considering it, just not currently available. That being said, if you're a Stake Super Plus customer, you can avail of any fixed interest investment outside of the platform as you wish. Hi, Ron. I currently have a stake share trading account for my SMSF. Am I able to obtain an ANZ bank statement for the 22 financial year showing all cash movements within your trading account? So the wallet that we have is actually an Airwallex account, and it's an ANZ BSB. Now we can get you a transaction statement that I'm happy to email to you. And if you wish, I'm also, if you get any questions about that from your auditor, I'm really familiar about the audit implications. So you can direct them to me directly at smsf@hellostake.com. But I'm more than happy to email you that transaction statement for your account, Ron. So that's all the questions that's been asked so far. But please feel free to keep adding more questions at all, any last minute ones. I'm happy to go through them. As Andrew, my colleague, has just mentioned there in the chat box, there will be a follow-up email that will be sent out to all attendees today with a recording of this session, with details on the discount that I've mentioned, with links if you want to set up a call back with myself, if you want to discuss your particular case, if you've got any particular questions that you don't want to raise publicly, that's no problem at all. Also, our email address is smsf@hellostake.com if you want to contact our team with any other questions. And have a look at our website as well if you want to learn a little bit more about our product at hellostake.com/super. Phoebe, another question. If I move my portfolio to stake, do I need to open a bank account or keep what I have? So if you transfer your portfolio to stake, we'll automatically open a brokerage account that's attached to that you can have cash in and trade from. So that is compulsory if you want to trade on stake. So yeah, we'll do that as part of the setup. Any other questions? Great, Randy. Why is stake ventured from being a brokerage into super management? That's a great question. So obviously the stake investment platform is, obviously the core product, and we're definitely not veering away from that. The reason we've gotten into this, and I actually wasn't here when the decision was made to set it up, but our CEO himself has an SMSF. And had set it up in his early 30s, I believe. And he was really passionate. He found it that it was a big hassle to set that up, and with all of the paperwork and how long it took. So he really wanted to disrupt the industry and obviously make it easier for SMSF trustees and members to be able to invest using their super. And he also wanted to make it easier for people who may not have considered a self-managed super before to be able to take control of their own super invest if they felt that that was right for them. But the investment platform definitely remains our core product. The stake super is just an addition as we expand and grow. Question from Jerry. Yes, there will be a recording, I believe, that will be sent via email, hopefully tomorrow. But yeah, you'll be able to see it then, and we can also share the slides with you as well. And Jerry, if you've missed it before, you'll also be able to schedule a one-on-one call as well if you have any questions. Loads more questions coming in. This is great. So most funds will have fixed interest and must have cash. Does that mean can't access lower fee? It really depends what type of product that you choose to avail of, fixed interest and cash. Obviously, cash is included. If you've got cash sitting in your wallet within the SMSF, that is included in the lower fee. And there is the interest-bearing investments on the ASX. But if you do choose to have any of those assets in an external platform, that would be part of Stake Super Plus, which is the higher fee. With the US broker, do you have an auditor that is US based as well? We don't necessarily have an auditor that is US based. So for an SMSF, it audits, it's obviously specific to Australia, and the regulations here are based in Australia. But obviously they would take into consideration the audit reports that are released by the US broker. So they would have control reports, for instance, that would be issued in the US for that broker. So we pass that information on to the auditor, and that helps them complete an audit based on the SMSF here. Short answer to your question, we don't have an auditor ourselves based in the US, as we're an Australian company. I'm interested, but currently overseas. Depending on what you need to open an account, can I still benefit from the discount if I can do it only end of July when I'm back? That's no problem at all, BB. And yeah, we deal directly, we can deal over email, or for the most part, when we're collecting the documents, we actually deal directly with your previous administrator and accountant, and you can sign the documents from overseas if you wish. But yeah, that's no problem at all. You just need to get that application in before end of June. Another question, is Stake Black free for SMSF? Unfortunately, not with this offering. It's not included for SMSF. Great. Anyone want to pop in some last questions before we finish up? Hopefully I've really clearly explained our product and what we're all about and what we do here at Stake Super. As I mentioned, please feel free to reach out to me directly. I love answering questions and speaking to customers and spreading the word about Stake Super. So if you've got a particular complex case, for instance, more than happy to speak to you directly. Just reach out to us at smsf@hellostake.com. And watch out for your inbox for that follow-up email with a recording and more information on the discount. One last question that I'll squeeze in: what are the brokerage fees? So the brokerage fees for Stake Super or any SMSF trading account on Stake is the exact same as it is for your individual. So up to $30,003 a trade, or 0.01% for trades above 30,000 and above, for the US and ASX. In short, do I understand that you are a broker and providing accounting and audit services? Yeah, that's correct. So obviously we're the Stake investment platform, and we've got teams building that. Stake Super are a small team within that business that Stake has built to provide that in-house accounting and audit service. So that we really wanted to change that, how the industry works. Often there's a disconnect between the two, and it means more paperwork for SMSF trustees, but it's all integrated in one business. The audit service, I should mention, is independent, but we facilitate that for you, and it's independent by law. We have to keep the funds compliant. Okay, great. Well, we'll wrap it up there. But I really do appreciate you all taking time out of your day to join this session and learn more about Stake Super. Hopefully you've all got something out of it today. And as I mentioned, don't be shy if you've got any more questions. But thank you so much, and hope to hear from you soon.